Okay. It's too warm in here. Ooh. Does that work? Or? There it worked. How do I upload a file to Google Sheets? Maybe I create a new one first. And then I import. Import a file. Upload. Import data. There we go. Wait a minute, what the fuck? Why didn't that switch scenes? Oh, it's like far behind, but... Okay. I would just add like desktop audio. I guess I'd like add the browser. Add the output. Output capture. Okay, there we go. Okay, enough dicking around. What am I doing today? That's the question. Well... Oh. No! Holy shit. Maybe I just, I can't really risk that. I almost shut down the computer. So I yanked that USB port. So we'll go ahead and mute the... I still want to like listen to music. I'm just gonna hear it through the mic, I guess. Alright. So what am I doing? What am I doing here? What is all this about? You're wondering. Well, as the title of the stream should indicate, I'm still playing Fallout 4 on Twitch, huh? Okay. That's fair enough. How do I even fix that? I don't even know how to fix that. I guess it don't really matter. Where's the Conan like ambience that I had going the other day? Let's make sure. The title of the stream should indicate or on Twitch. Nah, it's not. It could be worse. Could be worse. Okay, let's focus in. I gotta get started on this. Welcome to my game table.
Pretty cool, huh? Yes, I built this with my bare hands. After lugging a 4 foot by 4 foot slab of plywood back from Lowe's on my bicycle. How'd I do that? Tried a few different methods at first, but eventually I figured out how to strap it to the bicycle, and I just pushed the bike back. I didn't actually ride it. But that's neither here nor there, because I've got the spinning functionality that I wanted, which should work pretty good, I think. And why do I need that? Well, because I'm going to be playing a lot of Conan games against myself. Conan, I guess I should start by explaining what is Conan. Conan collectible card game. What is this game? You've probably never heard of it. And there's a reason for that. It's because there was only ever one set printed. And that set was almost entirely destroyed. 80%, according to the game designer, Jason Robinette, who was there. He was there 3,000 years ago. Should have ended that day. Anyway, apparently this company, Comic Images, didn't have the money for the Conan IP Robert E. Howard license to make a game about Conan the Barbarian. And I guess the way it normally works is you pay the license holder like an upfront fee to use the IP, and then you pay ongoing royalties on everything, all the money that you make using it. So they didn't have that money, but they were planning on getting it by selling these cards. The only problem is they made this great card game, with 195 cards or whatever, 96. I think there's one missing. It was like removed or something, probably. But anyway, they didn't market the game well, apparently. And so the initial launch was unsuccessful, and they didn't have the money to pay the license holder at the time. So they were like, all right, we don't know what to do. We don't have the money. We didn't sell any cards. Why don't you just take all the cards we printed as compensation, and we'll call it even or something. And they were like, we don't sell the cards. We license people intellectual property. So they had like all the cards that were originally made for this game, like just sitting around their office for months or however long, until they were eventually just like, get rid of these fucking cards, these trading cards, and they just like threw them all away, evidently. So it's a real shame, because I first discovered this game. I was working on my own game. So I was using like the Oblivion, the IP from Oblivion as like sort of I was just trying to make a card game out of it. Come up with rules for a card game using like the Oblivion classes and attributes and weapons and armor and just the whole Elder Scrolls IP. And I was thinking to myself, I wonder if I could use like a different IP someday for a card game. I wonder what it would take to get the Conan the Barbarian IP, because I always liked that Hyboria, Samaria. I always liked the Conan IP. Like Age of Conan, Conan Exiles. There's been some Conan the Barbarian with Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I was talking to AI about it, and Grok said, well, there was a Conan trading card game made in 2006. I was like, what the heck? So I looked it up, and that's what I learned. And so I looked up the game, I looked up the cards, I looked up the rule book, and I was like, because I was reading all these different card games rule books just as like research at the time to sort of like get inspiration or just learn like what some common mechanics are in trading card game rules, because I was trying to develop my own trading card game. And so I read the rule book and I looked up the cards and I thought to myself, this is like a pretty well designed, like complete game, especially compared to other things I've been looking at. And the cards are like really well made. They look nice. Like the font, the colors, the art itself, all the different names of things. It looks like a well-made game, like a really like high quality, high production value game. So I couldn't believe that it never really had a life at all, where people got to play it, because it just was like it blew up on the launch pad. Metaphorically speaking. So I sort of decided to divert my efforts from designing my card game to focusing on this Conan game. And the reason, a big part of why I was designing a card game in the first place was because I wanted to use my programming knowledge and abilities to like build something cool, build a game that I could play. And a card or board game is not too demanding in terms of graphical things a lot of the time. Pretty easy to just program the basic rules for a turn-based game. You don't need like a physics engine or anything, or anyway. So I started looking at making this game into a web app that people could play it. Now, if I do that, I can get a cease and desist letter from the current owners of the Conan IP. Even if I'm not trying to monetize it at all. However, the Conan IP is up for public domain in 3 years, or in 2028 sometime, apparently. That could get pushed back if Disney gets the law changed again to hold on to Mickey Mouse even longer, I guess. This is all stuff that the designer for this game talks about in some interviews that are on YouTube. So it's kind of interesting. I think if I published this game as a web app for people to play for free online, I doubt I would hear from anyone about legal concerns. because no one even, I don't think Comic Images even exists anymore, first of all. And I don't think the current license holders of Conan are going to care about a trading card game. They probably don't even know this exists. I did ask the current holders of the Conan IP heroic signatures, I think they're called. I asked them multiple times if I could make this into a web app, but I did not get a response. And I got in contact with the designer for this game on BoardGameGeeks.com and asked him if he would be cool if I made it into a web app, and he seemed to be fine with it. He said he would love to help however he could. But he's been trying to get in touch with them for the rights to try to like make a Kickstarter for this game or something. He seems to think he could sell it in Europe, where the Conan IP is already public domain, right now if you wanted. Maybe anybody could. I don't know if anyone has any specific rights to this game or not, or if it's just like a strange relic. But anyway, I see it as an opportunity to make something cool using my programming knowledge and using recent developments in AI technology that I'd like to, experiment with. So why am I going to play this? This leads me to, why am I going to open up all these packs? By the way, I bought this booster box off eBay, and it might be the only one left in existence for all I know. So it's kind of a shame, but I'm planning on opening this up and cracking all the packs, getting the cards, looking at the cards, seeing what I get. And the reason I want to do that is because messing around, I'm going to start getting into technical details, programming stuff. I got this from Barnes & Noble, by the way. The Coming of Conan the Cimmerian. Illustrated. The original adventures of the greatest sword and sorcery hero of all time. Fully illustrated throughout. So I don't know all that he wrote, but what all he wrote. But apparently these are like the bulk of his work. These short stories about Conan in this book. And it's illustrated. I don't know if I'd say it's fully illustrated. It's not like there's a picture on every page, but there's a lot of illustrations in here that are really good. So, and I've been reading it here and there. I've never read any Conan stuff. And I have to say, it's not bad. I get why people like it. He was a young guy, Robert E. Howard, when he was writing all this stuff, I think. He was in his 20s, if I remember. That's young to me now. Anyway, so I've been using AI a lot in my line of work, being a programmer, prompting ChatGPT, prompting Grok, a lot of copying and pasting of code. Like, hey, take this code and, try to fix. I'm going to try to explain to you what is wrong with this code as best I can. either in terms of what it's doing in the app or in terms of what I know it needs to be doing in terms of code. And then you fix it or try to fix it, give me the output, and I'll copy and paste that and run it again and see if it worked. And then I'll tell you what happened. So there's the communication between programmer and AI is cumbersome, wearisome. It's prone to error, and it's just a pain in the butt. So that's one thing, and it's probably just a bad technique that I use. So when I first set out to make this into an app, my first thought was, okay, I need to make everything happen on the back end as much as possible. It needs to be in Java, which is a strongly typed, object-oriented programming language. And I'll just make it so the whole game can be simulated on the back end. And you can play a game and all the rules will be complete. All the rules will not have any issues, any bugs. But the thing about a trading card game, even a trading card game with only 200 cards, is that's still a lot of content that you have to program. It's like programming a board game, but the board game has 200 unique pieces that you have to program individual functionality for. That's the thing about a card game, is that it's very robust compared to other board games, trading card games. And the more cards that you have, the more large the task is going to be to put it in software form. So my first thought was, all right, I guess I'll just copy and paste the rule book into the Grok prompt and say, hey Grok, I want to make this into an app, starting with the back end. We'll worry about the front end later, after we get the back end working perfectly, after we get the core functionality of the game, simulated in Java. And then, I'm primarily a front-end dev professionally, so I'll worry about that later, and we'll try to give it a nice, front end with special effects and animations and stuff. But that should be easy compared to the back end, programming functions for all of these 200 cards and the rules for the game, and making sure that players can connect to a server and with WebSockets or whatever, and have a secure connection with fast communication. And but then I kind of randomly said, hey, I heard that test-driven development is a good way to do things, and since we're starting off fresh here with a new project, let's start it off right, and let's use test-driven development, even though I don't really know what that entails, and I've never really used it before, but I hear it's a good practice. And it was okay, so I'll write some tests, I guess, and while at the same time writing the source files that is actually compile into the app and is what people use. And I was like, okay, great. So I did that for a couple of days, maybe just one day on the weekend, and now I was starting to understand what test-driven development actually entails, and what test-driven development is writing the tests, writing test code first. And test code is a lot simpler than actual code. What you're doing when you write test code is you're importing the classes or the packages or the modules or whatever that are supposed to be the code that you're actually writing, the source code. And then you're using that, you're like basically implementing this code and saying, okay, let's pretend that, you know, this situation arises in a use case where the user does this or whatever, or we get this data from the back end. In this scenario, when we call whatever functions on our code that we're going to write, you know, this particular updated state in our file should be the result. And if it's not the result, it means the code is not working right. And it occurred to me that, first of all, it's not really difficult to write these tests. And second of all, when the tests fail, you have all this error logging. And you can take that error logging and give it back to the AI and say, hey AI, our tests failed. Here's the error messages. Can you please update the source files and see if you can do whatever, change them, give me the updated files, I'll copy and paste and save and then run it, try to compile the app again and see if the tests pass this time. Because every time you try to build the app, the tests run. That's how it works. And if, assuming the tests pass, it's probably safe to say that you, AI, updated the code correctly. So it occurred to me, like, I've got 200 cards I've got to write code for, or I've got to have AI write code for, and I've got these rules in the game, you know, maybe some subtle rules here and there. Why don't I just write a bunch of tests, or have the AI write a bunch of tests that are real gameplay scenarios? That's not hard to do. And I'll do whatever I have to do to make it so I'm integrated with AI somehow through in my IDE, my integrated development environment, to where I can just hit a button. I can have all my tests written, figured out, and reviewed, and say, okay, yeah, you know, this looks correct. This is a gameplay scenario where the rules are followed, where the players drew this card, they played this card, they did this thing, these things lined up, and then this was the result. You know, that looks correct according to the rules and the cards and how I think the cards should work. I have like maybe 50 of those, or 100 of those, or however many I want to write. And then at that point, I just set it up so it's automated, where the AI is writing code, running the tests, looking at the error logs from the tests, and then updating the code. And I can just like leave that on for however long it takes, assuming I don't hit some kind of like, you know, prompt quota with Grok or whatever AI I'm using. I might end up using this Microsoft technology called, what is it called? Autopilot? Code Pilot? Something like that? But theoretically, if I write all these tests and I'm planning on writing pseudocode. The whole process is going to be me playing games against myself with this spinning table. And then I'm going to go back later and review the footage. And while I'm watching the stream back later, or whatever, I'll look at all the different gameplay interactions I'm having against myself, and I'll convert that into pseudo test code, and that pseudo test code is what I will give to Grok or whatever AI and say, make a JUnit test out of this, where we want to build and test a few different classes for this ConanCCG app. We have like a game manager class, we have a game state class, and then we probably have individual classes for every individual card. And these tests are going to be the authority on whether or not the code that you write is correct or not. So that's, and then I have a spreadsheet of all 200 cards. I don't own all 200 cards. I don't know what I'm going to get from here. I have like 110 cards right now, with a few repeats, so I don't really have to look at my spreadsheet to see how many I own and don't own. Maybe I can sort. Here we go. In collection. Sort. Okay. So it looks like I have 80 unique cards in my collection out of 190. I have 80 cards out of the 196 already in the collection. I'm about to open, there should be 396 in here, I think. 11 cards per booster and 36 boosters. So hopefully I get like most of the cards that were printed. I probably won't get any of the ultra rares out of this box. Maybe one if I'm lucky. But the more cards I have physical copies of, the more tests I can create from video that I do. And then for all the other cards, I'll just have to invent tests myself. I'll have to imagine gameplay scenarios with them and make those into tests. Or maybe at that point, the code will be developed enough to where I can just write the code, the classes for these different cards, and it'll work, you know, in a gameplay scenario. So that's the goal. A secondary objective that I want to keep in mind is with this stream, when I'm cracking these booster packs, I want to take careful note of, because there's not a lot of content online or anything where people are cracking these booster packs. So I don't really know like the rate at which commons and uncommons and rares and ultra rares appear in boosters. And if I develop this game out enough, I've already thought up some different game modes that are sort of like a draft that I might want to include in the app. It feels like a real draft, like you're drafting the booster packs. So I want to make sure when I'm opening these booster packs, the camera is catching everything that I'm opening, because I'm not going to like take the time right now to write down what I get out of each booster pack. But I will later, when I'm reviewing the video, take note of what was in each booster, so I can somewhat reliably recreate the like the drop rates in the game later, potentially, in the digital version. So let's finally start opening these booster packs. Just want to make sure I'm like recording and streaming. Stream doesn't cut out. Should be live right now on my channel, my YouTube channel. Okay. So let's get started. I got this binder yesterday so I can put the cards in there when I'm done. Because these, like I said, these cards are very rare. They're not really worth anything because there's no demand for them, because nobody knows they exist. But they are very rare from what I can tell. Who knows if there will ever be another sealed booster box on eBay. So I'm going to switch to the overhead camera at this point. Yeah, maybe I'll actually like position this a little bit more. Like that. Kind of want it so it's I guess that's fine. Okay. So this is from 2006. So this has been sitting somewhere, somebody's shelf for a long time. Like I said, it feels like kind of a shame to be doing this, but it's for the sake of a digital version, you know? Hey, look at that. This is a beautiful game. I don't get why in fact, I might even want to take good care of the booster box. I think this is a lost art, like many things nowadays. I mean, you'll look at new card games, like I got I bought a pack of the sorcery game, Arthurian Legends. Sorcery, Arthurian Legends. These are nice looking cards for sure, but if you ask me, they don't compare to this. Like the text is too small. It just looks so digital. This looks less digital somehow. This looks a lot more like it was just made with like Adobe Print or Adobe Premiere or whatever. I don't know what they were doing back then, but anyway. Booster pack number 1. 11 booster pack. 11 card booster pack. Crack it open. Oh. See what we got. Ringing Block. Morning Star. Laid Open to the Bone. Bestial Fury. Crippling Kick. Scouting. Kashani Shaman. I don't have that one yet. I have like all these other ones, I think. All the very commons. Valiant Protector, uncommon, I have that. Fearless Leap into Danger, uncommon, I have that. Shemite Bow, uncommon, I have that. Ooh! Thugra Khotan. That's the rare, I don't have that. Alright. Booster pack number 1 down. Let me pull my screen up here. Testing 1, 2, 3. Audio test. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Audio test. The audio is not very good, is it? Alright. Booster pack number 2. Grievous Slash. Kozaki Outrider. Heathen Warcry. And Glare's getting into that. You know what? Let's lower this down just so it's closer to the cards. For now. Make it easier on myself later. I'm trying to review this stuff. Thundering Charge. Elbow to the Throat. Savage Strength. Aquilonian Foot Soldier. Death Knight. Enemy Reinforced. Bozanian Bow. Spring from the Shadows. That's the rare. I think I have that one. Well, I don't have hardly any rares, so it's to be expected. But we're 2 for 2 on the rares I don't have yet. Front. Okie doke. Booster pack number 3. Look at that. It's a card back. Looks like I got a rare foe. Laid Open to the Bone. common. Bestial Fury, common. Grievous Slash, common. Kozaki Outrider, common. Wineskin, very common. Ravenous Wolf, very common. Try to lower this even more. Really try to get the camera in here. Scouting. Sumerian Rush. Opulent Tastes. Tower Shield. Heimdall. The Veneer. Cool. Another rare I don't have. Still no ultra rares. It's alright. Where's this a glare coming from? There's always got to be a glare. Death Blow. Breaking Out. It's a common I don't have. Run Through. It's another common I don't think I have. Ooh, Kushite Lion. Another common I don't have. Mace. I've memorized all the cards I have now at this point. All 80 of them. Unique cards, that is. Overhead Block. Very common. Maybe I should just kind of go like that. Zamorian Thug. The Stuff of Legends. Aquilonian Royal Guard. Yeah, I love the art on this. Quick Leap. And then Filling Meal. I actually think I have this one. This is a rare I have, I think. Cool. Number 4. Grievous Slash. Are we good now? Is this like showing the cards? So bad at production. Yeah, I guess that's pretty good. Grievous Slash. Kozaki Outrider. Heathen Warcry. Thundering Charge. Savage Strength. Aquilonian Foot Soldier. Mace. Ooh, Scale Armor. That's a new one. Your defensive moves cost 2 less prowess. You may discard Scale Armor from play to prevent up to 4 damage from 1 move. Mauling Grab. Look at that. 3 fists on the left side. That's a new uncommon. This one right here is a new uncommon. Blood Defiler. I gotta figure out how that. I guess it's just that lamp, and then blood, and then Eye Gouge. That's a new rare. I'm trying to move this lamp over a little bit, maybe. Okay. Looking good, looking good. In the ocean drank Atlantis, and the rise of the sons of Ares. Aggressive swing. High arcing slash. Icy ambush. I don't think I have this one. Play during an opponent's warrior step. Play when foes are drawn. Choose a type of foe, human, animal, etc. Conan deals -1 damage to that type of foe this step. You may not play any other type of foe this step. This glare is just ruining the shot. I figure out what this is. It's just that lamp, isn't it? Well, how do I do that then? Maybe I just turn this off, or is it going to be too dark? Maybe this over here. Icy ambush, high arcing slash, aggressive swing. Wait a minute, did I not get a rare? No way they gave you packs with no rares back then. Oh shit! I looked at these all wrong. What did I do? Alright, I'm going to restart this pack here. So we got aggressive swing, high arcing slash, icy ambush, palm to the sternum, Zambulan guard, break like rotten twig, scouting, prickled the short hairs on one's scalp, necromancer, that's a new one. Kind of looks like he's taking this zombie from behind, doesn't it? Helpless victim. Well, where's the rare? I still didn't see a rare. Damn, this is hardcore. If back then they gave you, maybe they give you a bunch of uncommons and say, you know what, that's good enough. Because there are a good number of uncommons in here. Yeah, that's crazy. There's no rare in here. Alright. If I how about that? Can't really decide on a good angle for this camera. Even more cry. Thundering charge. Death blow. Breaking out. Lightning slash. Blood mad panther. Faint. Black ones. Sweeping slash. Distraction. Spoils of battle. It's a new rare. Lose 1 health. Play after you defeat a human foe. You may play 1 item during the next rest step. That's kind of cool. All right. Death Blow. Breaking out. Run through. Kushite Lion. Overhead Block. Zamorian Thug. Zambulan Guard. Charge in the battle. That's a new uncommon, I think, for me. Winching. Conan making passionate love to the Lady of the Night. A serving of scalding death. That's definitely a new one. Look at this. Look how cool that is. Contemplation. Contemplate this on the tree of woe. Play when you press on. Draw up to 2. That's the rare. I just want to see 1 ultra rare. And you know what's interesting is I haven't seen any extra Conan cards yet, which makes me happy to have gotten this one, because I bought this pack sealed as well. I got this starter pack sealed. It's the only other sealed product that was on eBay at the time besides this booster box, and I got this as one of the rares. There's only 3 rares, and there were guaranteed 3 rares in the starter decks, I think. And I got Conan the Savage as one of them for the Conan the Bold starter deck. Run through. Kushite Lion. Aggressive swing. High arcing slash. Gleaming arc of steel. Archer of Kawarazim. Forceful lunge. Kushite war chief. Establish reputation. Mercenary knight. Separate head from shoulders. That's a new one. New rare. As you can see, he's decapitating the looks like soldier. Maybe an Aquilonian soldier. Alright, let's keep it moving. Keep it going. I gotta scan a lot of these later. Scan them as high-res assets. Is that not really focusing on the cards, is it? Yeah, well. Aggressive swing. High arcing slash. Icy ambush. Palm to the sternum. Break like rotten twig. Scouting. Kashani Shaman. Ooh, Thallus. New uncommon. Fists of Iron. I think that's a new one for my collection, perhaps. Impale to the hilt. Ooh, yeah. God, I love that art. Art's so good. That's a new uncommon. And a new rare, Thothamon. Card's kind of warped. Thothamon is a sorcerer. Unique sorcerer. 10 renown. Jeez, it's a lot of renown. When foes are drawn, Thothamon may be removed from the game to make Conan lose 7 prowess. Thothamon may not be played into a zone. Dang. So he just comes in to the game to make Conan lose 7 prowess during the foe draw phase. That's pretty good. Seems like a no-brainer to have that in your deck. You see, that's why if you're going to make this game into a digital version, you gotta have some kind of draft mode, because there's only 200 cards, you know, and it's like not even in print anymore. But so constructed is not really an option. But if you devise some kind of draft mode, it could be played competitively, even with only 200 cards. Icy ambush. Gather information. Palm to the sternum. Gray ape. Mace. Aquilonian foot soldier. Downward block. Fuse of iron. I don't think I have that one. Away with words. I might have that one. Relaxation. Ooh, Balthus, the rare ally. Cool. Alright. Still no ultra rares. That's to be expected. But wouldn't it be cool to find one? Apparently the designer of this game, he's got a full collection except for 2 ultra rares. So that's another little side quest. Pull the last 2 ultra rares that the designer doesn't have in his collection, so we can win some brownie points with him. Gather information. Gray ape. Headstrong rush. Well-deserved rest. Crippling kick. Wineskin. Archer of Karazaram. Sundering Mail. It might be a new one. New uncommon. Ooh! Conan the Barbarian. I mean, it's just an uncommon, but it's the new Conan card, so it's pretty sick. You may play moves in up to 3 zones. You may discard 2 cards to play an ally. And he has Instinct 1. You may replace 1 move by discarding the original and playing for the new move plus 1 prowess. Paying for the new move plus 1 prowess. Savage Claws. That's a new uncommon. Each foe a potential weapon. It's a new rare. If this move hits, you may place this foe in another zone, discarding its move. If that zone has not been resolved, you may ignore icons on a foe's move in that zone. Okay. This is all stuff I'm going to have to program later to work correctly in a digital browser environment. Oh. Just got to tilt that even more that way. Menacing advance. Conan will triumph, you dogs. Morning Star. Tish Archer. Carousing. Sumerian Lock. Ravenous Wolf. Drowning Ones, Failures. Ooh, Aesir Clan Chief, I need that one. Predator's Cunning. I don't know if I have that one or not. Arrogance. This is one of the... There's only two actions with the subtype of any in the set. So this is basically like a... It's like a counter. So... It's a counter for foe instance. That's the thing about this game is like... You know, one of the first things I was trying to figure out in my brain, or just on paper, for the digital version was how to gracefully handle instance and like resolving effects in this game in a digital version. Because, you know, like in Magic the Gathering and other card games, you have instants that can be played to sort of like interrupt the other player's turn, essentially. But sometimes the other player wants to play an instant in response to what you played. And that creates what's called a resolve stack, where it's like basically last in, first out. So the last effect to be played in Magic the Gathering, I think, is how it works. The last effect to be played resolves first, which potentially negates cards that would resolve after that. And I think in Magic the Gathering, if say for example the target of your instant was removed by the other player's, your opponent's instant perhaps, then you don't get that card back. It just sort of disappears. So these are things that I need to consider, and because they're not explicitly defined in the rule book for this game. You know, maybe you do get your action back if its target is invalidated somehow by an opponent's action played in response to your action. But this game's different from Magic the Gathering because it favors the Conan player whenever there's a dispute about conflicting effects. And to me that means, in my brain, you have two separate queues. You have your Conan effects, which all resolve first. And then you have the foe effects. And what that means is you don't need to give the foe a response timer when Conan plays a instant. However, you do need to give the foe a response timer before going to the next turn, because that's not considered like an effect that Conan can resolve. Choosing to go to the next phase as the Conan player is, your opponent should have a chance to play some sort of action card before that happens. But during the Conan player's turn, you don't need to have a timer to give the opponent a chance to respond like you would in Magic the Gathering, because every time the Conan player is going to get to resolve his stuff first. So it wouldn't matter if as long as you still get to play that card before the end of the turn. In fact, it might be to your advantage to wait. Assuming you don't get the card back if its target is invalidated or whatever. You might get it back in my version of the game. I haven't really thought it out too much yet. But there's this concept of action cards in this game, and their subtype, the main type is action. The subtype is, for action cards, basically what phase of the game they must be played in to resolve. And actually there's sort of like, you could define the game as having steps, stages, and phases, just like sort of, and even within all of that, because there's the, the start step, the prepare step, the warrior step, the rest, and the rest step. So there's like 4 main steps in the game. But within the warrior step, there's all these phases. There's like foe draw, survey, foe move, Conan move, barbarian, and then resolve. In that order, I think. But even within those phases of the warrior step, there's certain stages. Like within the foe draw phase, there's when foes are drawn versus like after they've been after the foes that the foe player is actually going to send to fight Conan have been chosen. And then in terms of the survey phase, there's the survey phase, and then there's the point in the survey phase where Conan either decides to fight or retreat. And then there's some cards where it says, if during the survey phase, or when Conan chooses to retreat, play this card. So these action cards, which are green, they have the subtype, which dictates what point in the game they can be played at. And then in the text box, they often have an even more specific requirement. Like here, for arrogance, it says action. Play during any phase. Play when your opponent plays an action foe card. You may cancel it by losing 4 prowess. So this cancels foe action cards. And I think I pulled a few of them. So if you're the foe player, you can't play an action card unless it's a foe action card. And this is like by default a non-foe action card because it's played in response to a foe action card. So that's like the most complicated part of designing the digital version, I think. The game would be much simpler if there was no possibility of doing anything during your opponent's turn. Like if you study card game design, you'll notice some card games. See, there's a foe warrior card. Play during an opponent's warrior step. Play when foes are drawn. Choose a type of foe. Conan deals -1 damage to that type of foe this step. You may not play any other type of foe this step. So you have to play it at a very particular time. But it's okay because all of these action cards double as move cards. So you can use them in combat. You don't have to use them for their sort of action use. That's kind of what's cool about this game is you have to pair these move cards. Any cards you see with symbols on the side these are move cards. It's a little confusing. There's like pure move cards, and then there's actions, and then there's items. And you can use all of those cards either as Conan or the foe player in combat. In fact, that's in order to deal damage as Conan or the foe player, you have to use a card that has symbols on the side. So it's not necessarily a move card, but it's used as a move, if that makes sense. The move cards don't really have any other use besides being played as moves. The orange background move cards. And then they usually have some kind of they pretty much always have, not always, I guess some of them don't have any effect. I call them primary primary and secondary move abilities in the database that I constructed for these cards. But anyway, let's carry on. Keep going here. A bit of a side tangent. A lot of packs to open still. Gather information, Gray Ape, Headstrong Rush, Well-Deserved Rest, Kashani Shaman, Crippling Kick. Oh, I got an ultra rare! Sick! Woohoo! First ultra rare. I was worried I wasn't going to get any. It's Speed of Hot Passion. I couldn't have got a cooler card. I'm pretty sure they're all foil too, the ultra rares. Yet, though, Conan followed him with the speed of hot passion. The Devil in Iron. Play when you press on. You deal +1 damage during the next warrior's step, and your vitality is considered 0. during your rest step this turn. You deal +1 damage during the next warrior step. See, some of these cards, I'm definitely going to have to send Jason another message on Board Game Geeks at some point, asking for clarification on some of these rules. When you press on, you deal +1 damage during the next warrior step. I think that makes sense. It just means your Conan card has +1 damage, because, see, like, you have a damage value up here at the top of the Conan card, and it's usually like 2 or 3 or 4 maybe, and that's like how much damage you do to foes when you hit them. So I would assume that this means that whatever your damage value is, because it's an ultra rare, you would think it would do something good. Yeah, probably means, like in this case, you would do 4 damage to everything you hit. Very cool. Beat of hot passion. Let's go ahead and put that in the side loader. Keep it safe. Alright. I should still have a rare in here. Warrior Born. Back against the wall. Sumerian Rush. Drive cartilage into brain. Unfortunately, I already have this rare. Yeah, this is, I think there's like 2 move cards that can only be used by Conan. And that's one of the things you'll see in the text boxes of the move cards is, what do I call them? Playability modifier? Playability restriction? Yeah, like Hearthstone, for example, I think I started saying you never play anything during your opponent's turn in Hearthstone. You can have secrets. Secrets are things that are like triggered during your opponent's turn. But you don't control whether they get triggered or not. They always get triggered, I think, if I recall. I haven't played Hearthstone in a while. It could be different now for all I know, but yeah, in my mind there's a big difference between games where you can do anything really during your opponent's turn and games where you can't. It's interesting that Hearthstone was such a success because it deviated from that design, deviated from Magic the Gathering in that regard, which was a bold move by Blizzard. But I mean, that's the way chess is. It's just one move back and forth, one move each back and forth. Pretty simple. Okay, Keyforge is another game where, designed by Richard Garfield, the guy who made Magic, where you would never do anything during your opponent's turn. And that simplifies things a lot in terms of resolving effects. It probably reduces the amount of disputes people are going to have when playing the game too. Desperate Lunge. Intimidating Posture. I don't know. Do I have that one? Incendiary Arrows. I think that's a new common for me. It's going to be fun seeing that. Seeing how many cards I actually have now. Telling Blow. That might be new too. Stomp into Submission. Elbow to the Throat. Hurricanian Swordsman. Oh, sick. Evasive Retreat. That's... I just thought this card looked really cool. Because, you know, I went on this website, cggplayer.net. Something like that, I think it's called. like right next to the microphone now. When I first started this project, and I looked up all these cars, really low res images on that website, and I meticulously went through all of them and documented the data from the cart. I documented the name, the initiative value, the prowess cost, the type, the subtype. I came up with variables for this stuff and created records for every one of the cards. The left side symbols, right side symbols, an array of 5. So I wanted to get all that stuff into a database like immediately, just in case just in case like that website went down or something. That'd have no way of getting the data for this game. So that was the first thing I did. And because I'm a perfectionist, I wanted to get all the little flavor text too for every card. Like this here, descended from the ancient Lemurians, Hyrcanians, were once enslaved by the ancestors of these Stygians ages ago. But the problem was some of the images on that website for these cards were so low res that I couldn't read it. Like the text was too small and the image quality was too poor. So I was like, what is that? What does that say? What does the flavor text say? I really want to get this flavor text. And I had to do stuff like look up people's YouTube videos of them pulling cards, and for this one I actually had to look up a comic book, Conan comic from like the 80s, where I found a little bit of the text blurb. It wasn't the complete flavor text. The flavor text was like modified. But once I saw the first half, I was able to kind of like guess the rest of it. Anyway, evasive retreat. Oh, sick, Mallrat. I should have all the allies now. Besides Valeria, which is an ultra rare I'd really like to get. Cool. Mallrat. Requires 6 scars. Draw 2. Mallrat's moves ignore agility icons. You may discard 1 wealth from play to ignore Mallrat's scar requirement. Ooh. That's pretty cool. Hey, the crawler. I don't have this one. Cool. Unique. Each round of combat during the survey phase, you may move the crawler into a different zone. This ignores all zone limits. Ha! Oh, receives minus 2 damage. Wow. That's brutal. This thing's brutal. And it's a minor foe. I guess that's why it's unique. You can only have one. Kraken skulls. Sick. Conan, during initiative 4 resolution check. During initiative 4 resolution, check to see if this card would hit 2 minor human foes. If so, both are defeated. Otherwise, resolve normally. Okay. That's weird. So it's an initiative 3 move. It's an initiative 3 move, but before it actually hits, cool, okay. Yeah, there's this concept in this game of initiative. It's this black background number up here, and it's between 1 and 5. Black number at the top, white text, black background. And it's basically the speed of the attack So if Conan can hit and defeat the foe players before their moves resolve, it like saves them some damage, essentially, or an ally. Your ally might survive combat if his move is quicker. Why won't it focus? Alright. Boom. Oh, I think I'm like, what, halfway done? A lot of packs in here, 36 packs. This was not cheap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 12, 18, 20. I ain't even halfway done yet. Let's get all this out here. I'm gonna take a little break and go to the grocery store or something. Alright. I'm having a lot of fun though. I love this card game. Headstrong Rush. Well-deserved rest. Menacing Advance. Conan will triumph, you dogs. Carousing. Arcanian Swordsman. Overhead block. Ooh, Bone Crunching Swing. Still need that one. I like how the girl in this one is wearing a purple outfit. I thought that was a good choice, good flavor choice. God. I just love women. I love women's bodies. And they don't have to look like skinny, malnourished skeletons either. Like, she's got some curves. Look at that. Hell yeah. And look at Conan's physique. He's got he's got muscles on his muscles in this one. It's like roided out Conan right there. Ooh, Bat Demon. Still needed that one. Yahoo! Scale Armor. Ooh, Lured to One's Doom. Aw, yeah. I wanted this one. Action Warrior. Lose 2 prowess. Play during the survey phase. If there is only one foe in play, it deals -2 damage this turn. Oh, holding up too high, fuck. There it is. Lured to One's Doom. Okay. Moving along. Morning Star. Shemetish Archer. Desperate Lunge. Intimidating Posture. Sumerian Lock. Zambulan Guard. Savage Strength. Mauling Grab. Blood Defiler. Charge in a Battle. Is that a new one? Might be. Uncommon. Consumed by Rage. Yeah, that's a good one. Play when you have no prowess remaining. Discard any items you have in play. You deal +1 damage during this warrior step and receive -1 damage. That's pretty good. No prowess. Discard any items you have. Consumed by Rage. I'm definitely running that. 3 copies of that in my constructed decks. What did I say I was at? So half of 36 is 18, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I'll do one more, then I'm going to take a break, I think. Go get some air. These people air. I'll come back and continue this work, this very important work. I'm resurrecting Conan like Akiro. Before the time when the ocean drank Atlantis and the rise of the sons of... Ooh, hewing slice. That's a new one. It's got the double sword icon. And 2 foe effects. Dang. So if you're a veteran and you use this, you get -2 damage. Hey, Aquilonian Horseman. I don't have that one. Mounted Veteran. It's pretty good. Ringing Block. Got plenty of those. Morning Star. Zamaron Thug. Elbow to the throat. Oh! We got another ultra rare. It's Goranga. Bear, 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 bear. Goranga in the hell. I feel like you should have a theme song of some kind. I saw this guy online, this card online, and I thought that's a great rare. That's a great ultra rare. He's the Kashani Priest. When played, you may look at Conan's hand. Deal +2 damage while in the rear zone. That's pretty good. And he's only a minor foe. Put him in the book. That's worth like $150. These both these cards could be worth over. They're on eBay right now for like 150 plus. So I might have actually got a good deal on this. Might actually turn into a bit of profit. Helpless Victim, Warrior Born, Back Against the Wall. Oh, this is a rare. Or maybe that's the. Maybe I already went through these. Yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah, here's the rare. Entangled. I don't have it. Perfect. Play during an opponent's warrior step. Play when foes are drawn. Choose a zone. Conan's moves cost +1 prowess in that zone this round. All right, so I'm at 2 ultra rares after half the box, which is better than I expected, to be honest. I'd be very happy if I get another 2 from the remaining packs. I think I'd really like Valeria, and I'd like the Dragon. I think those are probably 2 ultra rares that would sell very good. But at least I have 2 to tell Justin about. Alright, I'm gonna run to the grocery store, I think. Before it gets much later. Pick up some groceries. And then come back and keep on doing this. Might review the stream quality a little bit. Like I said, I got a lot of work to do. I got a vacation coming up here after next week, and I should have 2 weeks off work. And hopefully I'll have a lot of time to work on this. It could go really quickly with AI, so I just have to write all this test code, like I said. But anyway,